Hey. Welcome back, everybody. Green Line Breakdown, episode 3. We're back. We're back. Sound it off. We're back. What a great week. 3-1. All hope was lost. Everybody was counting us out, myself included, and the boys turn around. They turn around. And that's all you can ask for. A great week of basketball. Where do we start? Let's start with Monday night. You're an 0-3 basketball team. You're a bunch of nobodies. You're a bunch of unknowns. You got a couple of all-stars. You got a 6-man. But for the most part, nobody's counting you this season. And you go off 0-3 against some tough teams. And then you got 4 games in 1 week, the second week around. And you know what? You show up and you show out. Proud to say. Very happy. Very happy with what they did this week. Like I said, let's start with Pelicans on Monday. No Zion, and you got a full squad. That's a gimme. And those are the type of games we need to win this year. If we're dropping those games, I would get worried. When you have something like that, a team fairly mediocre, but just a mediocre team that, drop my mic, really isn't on your level, even though they have some nice pickups in the offseason, but they're nothing against you. You're still a better team than them. You're still probably top 15 team. They're not sitting above 20, I don't think. That's my personal opinion. You might think differently, but that's just how I think. Like, that's a team when you're walking in and they don't have their star player, who is kind of the center of their team. Without him, they're really not much. You got to beat that team. You're 0-3. You got to take that win. And they did. They went in. They got it done. Didn't look shaky. They did what they had to do. And they got it done. And that's all I care about. Don't want to talk too much about the Pelicans. Like I said, they did what they had to do. Team effort. Everybody was there. And they got one win on the board. And then comes Wednesday. Cleveland Cavaliers. And I love when we play the Cavs. Not just this year or last year. Going back 10, 20 years. Something about the Cavaliers-Celtics rivalry. I don't know if that goes back to, like, LeBron's first stint when he was a rookie, obviously in his first 6, 7 years, where the one thing in LeBron's way was the big three, Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen and Rondo. There was always some tensions there, and it's kind of built over these years. So far now to the Donovan Mitchell Cavs against Tatum and Brown. And I love the Cavs team. I love the pieces they have. I love Donovan Mitchell. I love Jared Allen. Evan Mobley, great player. Dean Wade coming off the bench, great player. The Cavs is that team, I think, in the NBA where they're so good. They play you hard, but I respect everything about them. Like, the way they play is similar to us. Very team ball, unless Donovan Mitchell gets dominant, but no complaints. I think I love every player on that team, and it's always good to play against a team like that. They're gonna show up and play the hardest against you specifically, and we do the same thing. We show up against them. So I had a front row seat to this game. I got to sit in the box. Shout out the company. It was fun. It was a fun game, and this was a true test, I think, beginning of the season, where you're in a hole. You beat the Pelicans as you should. This is a team I don't think you should off the bat just beat. This is a tough team. This is a team that always plays you hard when you're at full strength, and you're not. And every facet of this game was controlled by us. Just absolute team ball. Jaylen Brown, fantastic game. I mean, it starts with Hauser. Hauser getting 15 points off the bat in that first quarter and keeping it even. Like, the score we weren't blowing them away. We were riding each other's tails there, and that's all because of Hauser in that first quarter, who didn't end up scoring another point till the fourth quarter. But it's what he did in the first quarter that kept us in the game, that kept us level-headed, to ride it through. And that's what I hope to see from everybody, every game. Not everybody, somebody. At least 1 or 2 people need to step up in that way. It doesn't have to be all game. It just has to be in the moments. You have to control the moments. You have to stay the course until the very end of the game to put yourself in a position to win. You're not going to be waxing teams. You're not going to be outscoring them by 20 that carries you to the end. We're not going to be doing that this year. We're going to be a grind, tough team, and that's what we have to do. Somebody has to step up, whether that's Hauser, whether that's Pritchard, whether that's Derek White. Jaylen Brown has been consistent, I think. He's doing what he needs to do, but like I said, it's not enough. We need those other pieces. And the big thing I saw during this game, which I don't think I saw last week, was the emergence of Josh Josh Minott. He is such an underappreciated offseason move by me, by everybody else, by Celtics media. He is not a name that ever came up. Drafted by the Timberwolves 2 or 3 years ago. I was unaware of him. Honestly, not a name I recognize. But my God, these first 2 weeks, he's just blown up. Thing I saw during the Cleveland game is he's everywhere. He might not be scoring 1,000 points. He might not be getting you a bunch of assists, but where that ball is, he's putting himself in a position to be part of the play. I mean, rebounds, which is a huge concern this year. He is blowing up plays against a team like Cleveland, who is a big team and probably should be beating you in the boards. A guy like him coming in, especially with his size, he's not too big. He's thick in the shoulders, but he, like I said, he doesn't have that height against everybody else. He was crashing those boards. He was diving for balls. A little bit Marcus Smart-esque almost. Like that was the emotion I was getting, seeing his response to what was playing out. Whether Cleveland made a move, whether we made a move, when he was on the court, he was going to get involved. He was choosing to get involved. He wasn't taking plays off. He was putting himself in every spot he could be to make the play better. Look out for him because he's going to be a gear for us this year, I think. He's just going to be that guy who levels up emotionally everybody else. And I said that last week. I said, we need that guy. And I think I noticed this week that's going to be him. He's really going to pump everybody else up. He's going to be that gear. Just if he can get to the level Marcus Smart was for us back in his heyday, that's all I need out of him. I don't need him to be the star player, but some of these, Derek White, I love Derek White, and even Jaylen Brown, they don't always have the emotional response that I'm looking for. This kid is putting himself in every spot he could, and it's exactly what I want out of him. And I'm sorry for not noticing you earlier. I mean, that's a crazy thing for me not to look down the roster and kind of point you out, but you've really shown your colors this first couple of weeks of the season. Hope you continue and hope you do great things for this team. We'll be cheering for you for sure. The city loves guys like that. The real hustlers, and that's what he is. So he was a big plus. Getting this front row view I had, I can see some of the negatives that we have to. Luka Garza, you might be a bum. You're a bum. I think you're a bum right now, and I don't wish you're a bum, but man, your size, dude. Naismith Player of the Year, I need to see better effort out of you. You're so tall. This guy was getting walled off. His shot selection was terrible. I mean, there was one shot that I pointed out that was great, and every other shot he had was horrible. He had a hook that I don't even know how it went in. I think it was luck, where he hooked it off behind his back, and it just dropped right in. It was beautiful, but everything else makes me throw up. Luka Garza, get it together, please, because right now, I don't like to see the amount of minutes you are out there. I want to close my eyes every time I see the ball go towards your corner. He's kind of the only negative. I wish I could see more of Chris Boucher a little more. He hasn't been out much. I'm not really sure if it's an injury or what it is, but I wish I could see more minutes of him because with what we saw in preseason, he was pretty good for us for the couple of games, and to not see the minutes add up now that the season has started is concerning. He was a name they were pointing out and just hasn't done much. So I want to see a little more of him. But in terms of players on the court and seeing them do bad things, I think Luka Garza is the only one. Just terrible, horrible. And he's doing terrible things for the brand. Can't have a guy that looks like him out there and not do much. But everybody else has been pretty stellar this week, especially against some hard teams. Pelicans were an easy win. I talked about Cleveland, and then we had the first NBA Cup against Philly in Philly, a team a week ago you lost to in a pretty dramatic fashion. And it got close. Halloween night, it got close. It was scary things Halloween night. You were up by 10 in the fourth, and you see they score, we can't get a basket, they go down the court. This is all within like 3-4 minutes. They score, can't get a basket, they score, can't get a basket. And then all of a sudden we're 30 seconds left. We're only up by 3. We're getting tacked for foul shots, and it wasn't pretty. We squeaked it out in the end. We missed some foul shots. Jaylen Brown, you missed some foul shots in the end. I didn't like that out of you. I think I need to see, more consistent. You only taking 2 shots. Make the 2 shots. You're a super max player, so. But I mean, we did it. We got it out. We gutted it to the end, and we got the win. And we were 3-0 going in on Saturday. And then we're playing the Houston Rockets, and people might think Kevin Durant is washed and that the trade to Houston wasn't really worth it in the end for anybody, the Suns or the Rockets. But let me tell you something. KD, I don't care how old he is. He's still a leader no matter where he goes. He is one of the most unique players of our generation, I think, of my generation for sure. It's always going to be a bad taste in your mouth with the history he has of just going to Golden State. And he won 2, and people are always going to say that they don't really count because he just joined a team they couldn't beat. He was the NBA, the Finals MVP both years, and he for sure is the reason they won those championships. I think Curry's going to get looked at as a hero for the 4 he won. The finals, he beat us. I don't even think he deserved it. I think they gave it to him because it was such a narrative that he needed one to be considered a great player. And I'm not trying to discredit what Curry has done. He's the most electrifying shooter I've ever seen. And probably to this day, that includes the past as well. But Kevin Durant's the reason they won those 2 championships. He is such a unique player. Pretty impossible to stop. So pairing him with Sengun, Fred VanVleet, the entire Rockets roster, the starting 5, I think, is not shorter than 6'7". Oh God. 6'7", 6'9", 6'9", 6'10". And Kevin Durant's listed at 6'10", but that motherfucker is... He's 7 feet tall, if not 7'1". That's a tall team. That is an extremely tall team. And I think part of our problems are going to lie in us being kind of short. I think we need more height towards the power forward and center position. Garza was supposed to be that guy, but he's a bum, so he's not going to do what we need him to do. So when we go against a team like Houston, we're going to get mollywopped, and that's exactly what happened. I don't think Houston was larger than a 20-point lead, or shorter than a 20-point lead on us for the second half. They had our number from the beginning to the end, and that was at home. That's a tough game to play like. But just because we got, trounced that one game, I'm not going to shape up and look at this whole week and say, oh, it was a failure. We didn't go 4-0. The big conversation from last week was, should we tank? Should we just get a top 3 pick or whatever, top 5 with the lottery? I think it happened. You could be Dallas and get the number 1. Legitimately. Sure, Adam Silver in your entire league has a gambling problem. I wonder why. It for sure is something to look at, but we went 3-1. We shouldn't be tanking. We are a top 15 team in the league. We got a finals MVP, borderline all-star in Derek White when he's playing at the top of his game. And at the moment, he's not. I don't really love what Derek White's been doing. You're supposed to be the second guy. You don't even look like a top 3 right now. I need you to be better. He's probably the only guy that I would say they're not doing as good as they should. Garza, I think, sucks. He's doing exactly what I think he should be doing, and that's blowing hard. And then there's a couple guys that have stepped up. So Minott, I already forgot it again. And then you have Jalen playing how he should. And Payne Pritchard had some good games, some not so good games, but I think eventually he's going to balance out and be solid. Anthony Simons has been great, making really clutch threes, especially down the stretch of some of these games. But yeah, Derek just really hasn't been playing up to par, what I would expect from him. And that's not even saying he should be making up for where we have losses on the team, but he's better than this, what we've been seeing. And his shots just aren't falling, I think. Because he's getting in open spots, but they're just not going in. So I'm going to hold down on him a little longer and say, you need to get it together. There is not a lot I think we can improve on, which is kind of a tough thing to say. Like, I really do think we have a ceiling. And I think top 15 is kind of right around where we're going to sit. Obviously, the East is weaker, so that's going to get us in the playoffs. So I don't think tanking is realistic. I just don't see us ever being... So it takes a lot to be missing the playoffs in the East. And I just don't think we're going to, even if we tried to suck, I don't think we're going to hit that. So if we can't hit that, even when we're really trying to blow hard, we might as well just be subpar and get into the playoffs. And maybe Tatum gets back. But even if not, you just take it for what it is and try to get, if you end up 10, 15 pick, we just have to accept that. Like, I don't know why we look at that as fans of the sport and say, that's a failure. We should have either really sucked or been really good. Like, the middle ground is like a wasteland, apparently. It's like, no, well, we were playing competitive basketball. We enjoyed the games. We were watching them, and we got something out of it in the end, if that's all we get. I don't want to watch criminal basketball where they're just horrible night in and night out. If we go 500, we won half the games, and that's what I watch the sport for. That's what I think you watch the sport for. You don't watch to, like, see what we can do next year. It's what's in front of our face right now. Play the pieces, play the cards you're given. You don't hope for something better. And I think the pieces we're given is, top 15 team that's going to get us in the plan. So let's go from there. No more tanking. thought pieces. I don't want to see any of that crap. We're just going in, strong arming it, getting through, playing dirty, not dirty, but playing with grit and getting into the playing with hopefully Tatum right behind us. But like I said, good week. You know, we're sitting at, with that loss to Houston yesterday, I believe we're sitting at 4-4. I think I'm doing that right. 4-4, 4-3, 3-4, somewhere around there. And then we just take it for what next week will give us. Taking it week by week is the thing. And I talked about this a little bit in the first week of, you know, we're going in with no expectations. I've never been more excited for an individual game like I have been this season the past 4 years. Houston, I kind of knew we're not gonna have a good time against them. But I thought the same thing for Cleveland. And you watch that Cleveland game, that was a great game. And down the stretch, we were really delivering. And that's where that excitement should be coming from. It's not, again, where's the championship? Where's the Eastern Conference Finals? It's what is the game in front of me on a Tuesday night when you're not doing anything, when we're all sitting at home getting ready for our next day of work. You watch that game, that Tuesday night game, that Thursday night game before you go out for the weekend. That's where the love of the game should be. Those Sunday afternoon games where you're cooked from the weekend and there's nothing to do and you've done everything and you're just chilling out and you get to turn on the game and you get to watch our boys play. That's where the excitement for the game should be, not so stuck to this thought of winning the finals. I get that for when we won in 2008 and it had been 10, 15 years since we won another one. And we're getting so close year after year from like 2021 on until 2024. I get you wanting a championship, but we won. I think it's okay to take a step back now. I want to hear from you guys on that too. Like, what are your expectations? What are you thinking? Not so much where you think this team is going to finish, but what is you as an individual watching this team? My assumption is you just don't want them to be sucky. You know, it's hard to watch a team be throwing it out the window to get a good draft pick, which in the NBA, you don't even know with the lottery. You know, you could be terrible like Charlotte year after year and never get a number one pick. And that's a tough thing to watch. It's one day where they do the lottery. So you have to watch 180 days of bad basketball all of a sudden to get the 6th pick in 1 hour. That's got to be heart crushing. You don't want to see that. It's game in and game out. What are you getting out of it? And I want to hear from you. What are you getting out? I know what I do. Like I said, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday night afternoon games. Like, it's just the enjoyment of watching the chess pieces set up on the board and watch it go. I mean, basketball, I think the best part about it is kind of the flair and almost the theater of the game, where you watch football, maybe hockey, due to, you know, the grit, the roughness. Like, you like to see guys run over each other. Like, that's where the excitement comes from. Basketball doesn't have that. So where's the enjoyment come from there in the style of play? For me, I don't know what it is, but when you see just clean passes go around the perimeter, up and out, and just get a wide open shot after going to like 5, 6 different guys before you take the first shot. It's, like I said, it's clean, it's linear, and it just gets a good shot that goes in. There's something about that entire dance that I love. And it's those small moments in the game that I love watching. Like a really good setup on the defensive side where a center just gets right in position and just makes a clean block. No whistle. Everybody knows it's a clean block. It's those small things right there that I enjoy watching for sure. And that's what we look forward to. So what do we have in store this week? Going in on like a 500 record right now, what can we do with what's ahead of us? Monday, you get the Jazz. I like the Jazz. I just don't think they're a complete team. Could they play us well? Like, I like Kessler. I love Walker Kessler. Wouldn't surprise me if they bring it to us, but that's a game off the top of my head, I think you should win, unquestionably. And then Wednesday, you got the Wizards. They're the worst team in the NBA by far. I hate the Wizards. I think they're a shit organization. I think everything about them is they're never trying. This is kind of the antithesis of what I said we shouldn't be. They really are. They're never trying. Their drafting is horrible. It just doesn't seem like a serious organization ever. They've got nobody in the stands ever. For such a city like Washington, D.C., too, I can't believe they have such an abysmal team. I think a good basketball team in Washington would be great. There's got to be fans within the area, not even just from D.C., but, you know, Baltimore and, Virginia, like Delaware. There's so many in that square in the DMV that there are fans who want to watch, but you've just never brought anything at all in the existence of my life. Even when you had Bradley Beal and John Wall, I think I remember one playoff series, 13, 14, 15. I don't even remember when it was, but yeah, that's all you ever had. You're just not a serious organization. If we lose against this team, I might throw my head against the wall and see what cracks. So we should be going 2-0 to start the week. And then you got a tough end of the week. And, NBA Cup game again. To run down what the NBA Cup is, for those who don't know, it's the in-season tournament. Each team is paired up in a group of 4. I'm not really sure how they group it. I think it's on standings and also some random variables. But our last group play was the Sixers. This week it's Orlando. Orlando is a very good team. They played you very well in the playoffs in the first round last year. Very tough squad. They always show up to play. Very defensive minded. They got a little better scoring. They moved some pieces around, and they're going to be a solid squad this year for sure. And if they played you well this year and were worse this year and they're better, I can't imagine they're not going to be playing you tough. If not, bring it to you. You've got them on Friday, which is the NBA Cup game, and then you got them on Sunday. So the NBA Cup games, I think it's one every week. They're usually on Friday, Saturday. You play the group games, so one team each time, and then based on not only the wins, but the point differential, one person comes out of the group stage from each group. And then you play in the tournament. So right now we're just in the group stage. You're 1-0, and you got Magic on Friday. If you can go 1-1 in these games, I would be happy. I have a little bit of a fear that we're going to go into a player, like I mentioned before, Minott, whatever his name is. He's a guy I would love to see shine out in Orlando because I think him as a player kind of matches their team value of toughness and always being involved in the play. I would like to see him disrupt all of that. If he can do that, that's a fun watch because usually when you have these two gritty teams and they're disrupting each other, somebody's going to get in a fight. There were times last year we were getting in each other's faces, and Orlando and Boston could be a good little rivalry, small rivalry, something to look forward to. So if you can go 1-1 in these games, I would even mind if you lose the group game. I think that's a win, which is why I think you need to win the Jazz and the Wizards game, because you want to go 2-0 to start, and then you go 1-1. That's a 3-1 week. If we can just get 3-1 weeks, 3-1, 3-1, 2-2, 3-1, never go negative. Don't go 0-3 again. That was tough to start. We should have beat Philly, should have beat Detroit, shouldn't have been like that. We're 3-4 at the moment. Go get 2 more, 5-4, try to get 1 more. But if you don't, we're 5-5. And I think we're going to sit around a 500 record. Wouldn't be surprised if we ended the year 41-41. Be dominant at home if you can. You lost to Houston. They're a good team, but be dominant at home. Try to get those wins. Try to clean up here in these next few weeks. You're still figuring it out. We can see that on the court. Mazzulla doesn't have these lines set up. He's also still not calling timeouts, which I think is fucking ridiculous. Why aren't you calling any timeouts, you dumb prick? Anyway, just figure it out. Get tight with these lineups. Really get a dominant starting 5. Really figure out who you're swapping in. Like, I know Pritchard and Simons are pretty swappable, but, you're not going to have second lines with the squad you have. You're going to have your starting lineup, and then you're going to swap 2 guys in and out. And Mazzulla's kind of doing that. But it's been a little randomized game to game. I think there's a couple of guys stepping up that you should probably put them in more. Boucher, I'd like to see more. Simons, I don't even think played a whole lot against Cleveland or Philly, and I would like to see him a little more, give him more minutes. So much to say, you might have to split Pritchard and him, give them even minutes. I think if they're playing the same, give them even minutes. Let them be as dominant as they can be with reserved energy. Don't use one more than the other. And try to go 3-1 here. That's all we can ask for. I think we can do it. I think if we can get that in the week, we're in even better position next week, and we're more solidified going into the season. It's November. Weeks are going to start flying. All of a sudden, it's going to be Christmas time, and I don't want to be 10-30. You were expected to be so bad they didn't give you a Christmas game this year. Disheartening. I've never seen that in the years I've been passionately watching the team. So since 2018, I think. Just terrible. So prove the league wrong. Step in with confidence, step up against anybody, whether it's Cleveland or Houston or the Knicks or any of these good teams. The Lakers are doing pretty well. OKC, don't go in with the mindset that we are understaffed. We don't have enough setup here yet. Go in, bust noses, score some boards, step up. Derek White, step up. Jaylen Brown, stay consistent. Payne Pritchard, step up. Luka Garza, I want to see less of you. Step off the court, please, dear God. But, it was a good week. That's what we're taking from. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I did. And I'll see you again next week.